In this video, we're going to have a look at how to draw a linear graph using a table of values. So the steps in plotting a linear graph, the first step is to create a table of values. The second step is to draw up your Cartesian plane, choosing a scale appropriate based on your table of values. The third step is to plot the points from your table onto your Cartesian plane and then make sure you join them with a straight line. And then the last step is to label your graph. So let's have a look at an example as to how you may do this. So in this example, I want to plot the rule y equals negative 2x minus 3 onto a Cartesian plane. So my first step is to complete a table of values, and I'm going to do that using x values of negative 3 to positive 3. This range gives me a good spread on both sides of my zero origin along my x-axis. So now I need to go ahead and complete my table of values by substituting in my x values into the equation. So the first one is x is equal to negative 3. So y is equal to negative 2 times negative 3 minus 3. So equals 6 minus 3 equals 3. So my first y value is 3, and y equals negative 2 times negative 2 minus 3 equals 4 minus 3 equals 1. So I'll go ahead and complete for the rest of my x values until my table is complete. So now that my table of values is complete, I need to go ahead and draw up my Cartesian plane with my x and my y axes and put on an appropriate scale to plot all the points from my table of values. So my x-axis need to go from negative 3 to 3, and my y-axis will need to go from negative 9 up to 3. So now that I've drawn up my Cartesian plane, I can go ahead and start plotting on my points from my table of values. So the first one is going to be negative 3 and 3. So across to negative 3 on my x, and then up to positive 3 on my y-axis and put a dot. Then it's going to be negative 2 and 1. So across to negative 2 up to 1. Then my third set is negative 1 and negative 1. So across to negative 1 down to negative 1. And then 0 and 3, 1 and negative 5, 2 and negative 7, 3 and negative 9. So once I've gone ahead and plotted all of my points, I then need to join them up with a line. And you'll note that once I've joined them up with a line, it is a straight line because it is a linear equation. If it doesn't form a perfectly straight line, then you've made an error in your table of values and you need to go back and check. The last step is to add the rule onto the line, so y equals negative 2x minus 3. And that's an example of how to prepare a linear graph using a table of values.